For millennia, marriage and the strong emotions that were indicative of attachment were forbidden by the Jedi Order. In many cases, this rule was in place for good reason, as attachment was considered to be a dangerous path that led Jedi to the dark side. But there were two Jedi who grew to have a different view of emotional attachments than the traditional position of the Order. For both Luke Skywalker and Revan, emotional connections and the powerful positive emotions brought on through love and attachment were actually a benefit to Jedi, and not something to be feared as believed by millennia of Jedi doctrine. In this video expose, I will explain how Luke and Revan discovered the same truth about emotional attachment and moved away from the traditional teachings of the Jedi in this regard. In doing so, we'll look at Luke's position as it exists within the current canon, and Revan's beliefs as it existed previously in Legends. The Last Jedi novelization gives us the best insight into Luke's views on emotional attachment. Having just survived the First Order assault on the Resistance base at Dakar, Leia reached out with the Force to take in the emotions present within the Raddus, feeling both the joy and excitement of having escaped and the rage brought on by the desire for revenge for the loss of friends and loved ones. It was Luke who taught Leia to do this, to reach out and give in to her emotional connections. As described in the novel, Luke rejected the teachings of the Jedi Order that came before him, that banned emotional attachments due to the vulnerability it created in Jedi in regards to the dark side. Although he recognized it was emotional attachment that led Anakin to the dark side, Luke also had the personal experience of knowing that it was the very same emotional attachments that led Darth Vader back to the light. This redemptive quality of strong emotions, which only Luke saw in Vader and had been argued against by both Yoda and Obi-Wan, is what would ultimately save him and draw Vader back to the light. Thus, Luke saw emotional connections, including love and attachment, as having a positive influence on Jedi that didn't necessarily leave them vulnerable, and indeed, could push them away from the dark side and towards the light. It should be mentioned that this is close to Luke's view seen within Legends, where in his new Jedi Order rejected the tradition and doctrine of the Jedi and lifted the prohibition on marriage. The same conclusions about emotions and attachment was also discovered by Revan in Legends, roughly 4,000 years before the outbreak of the Clone War. Following the Jedi Civil War, Revan would come to accept many of the same beliefs as Luke has within the canon. And like Luke, it would be his own experiences with the light and dark that would allow him to see the redemptive qualities emotions and attachments have. While his own fall to the dark side and redemption in the light would play a role, it was the path taken by his future wife Bastila that was most instructive. After she was turned to the dark side by Darth Malak, Revan recognized that it was their love for each other that brought Bastila back to the light. Just as it was the emotional bond between father and son that redeemed Vader, this bond brought salvation for both Bastila and Revan as well. Thus, Revan created his own philosophy from this experience, recognizing new truths about the Force and the redemptive powers of strong emotions and attachment. While the Jedi Order taught that love led to jealousy and eventually to the dark side, as emotional attachments were a path to destruction, Revan saw it differently. Like Luke within the canon, Revan believed that denying or attempting to completely control emotion was the true way to personal destruction and the dark side. It was a Jedi unprepared to deal with the overwhelming nature of attachment where darkness built. For Revan then, a Jedi should be taught to utilize positive emotions like love and happiness, not reject them entirely. These emotions and the attachments that they resulted from could help to strengthen a Jedi's connection to the light side of the Force, just as anger and hate were fuel for the dark side. Thus, just as Luke taught Leia to use her emotional attachments to strengthen her connection to the Force, Revan believed love and happiness could anchor this connection as well. So there we have it, how Luke and Revan discovered the same truth about the Jedi and the Force, as seen within canon and Legends. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter, @SWReadingClub, for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon, for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. If not for me... For this is where the fun begins. And then we just have to add this here. And we've done it! Another entire Legend star system, complete with its related events and characters, brought back into the canon. How you doing on your mission to bring Darth Malgus and Alina Daru back into canon, Bane? Well, I'm not saying it has to connect with Lord Mammon, but I like your creativity. Run with it, buddy. What an amazing year it's been, huh, Bane? I know we haven't left the confines of our lair here and had absolutely no contact with the outside world, but I think it's all been worth it. 78 characters and storylines brought back into the canon. But maybe you're right, maybe it is time to catch up on some of the Star Wars releases of the past year. Maybe we'll start with the Vader comic, then we'll hit episode 8, then finish off with the final season of Rebels. It's just a great time to be a Star Wars fan, isn't it? I bet the fandom has never been more united. The evil empire giving us fans exactly what we want, and everyone coming together to celebrate our fandom as we wait patiently for new Legends characters to find their way back into Star Wars lore. Sorry buddy, no time for news articles now. We have to fire off these results to Filoni and see if we can get him to... Wait a minute. Do you feel that? I feel so... cold.
So you two are still down here hard at work, huh? Well, I'm gonna need you to put a hold on those Legends videos you've been working on, Non-Canon Expert.
You can't be serious. I know you're the faceless man behind the channel and all that, but what are we gonna be doing if we're not focusing on Legends materials?
Starting immediately, you'll need to shift production to some Episode 8 related videos over the coming weeks. And you know what? Episode 9 is just around the corner, so you and Bane need to start thinking about some potential ideas and speculation for that too.
Episode 8? Why would we focus on that when there are still so many Legends videos to be made?
Let me just be blunt. You might need to rethink this little mission of yours, Non-Canon Expert, and come join us back in the real world. I mean, you've sent hundreds of emails to Dave Filoni, your God Emperor. And how many has he responded to?
What do you mean? I just spoke with Filoni the other day.
With Filoni himself?
Well, I left a voicemail.
With his personal voicemail?
Okay, I phoned Bane and he pretended to be Filoni's voicemail. But it doesn't mean it won't ever happen. We're on the verge of greatness here.
Pathetic. But I thought you might feel this way, which is why I brought Canon Expert with me. Maybe we should turn over the Episode 8 videos to him.
Canon Expert.
What? There's no way. Canon Expert is a shell of himself. All he's been able to say is Canon Expert since the release of Episode 8.
Canon Expert, Canon Expert.
Poor guy. He just hasn't been the same these past few months. But regardless, if you won't make these Episode 8 videos, then perhaps he will.
Look, faceless man behind the channel, I understand the need to focus on canon every now and again, but do you really think putting Canon Expert in charge of videos for the channel is a good idea? And the Episode 8 videos at that?
Canon Expert.
Right now, I don't think it could get more bizarre than that.
Привет, поклонники Звездных войн. Приятно быть здесь сегодня с вами. Кто-нибудь хотел бы обсудить их любимые книги Звездных войн?
Это была бы отличная идея. У меня есть список топ-10 моих любимых книг Звездных войн. Было бы здорово обсудить их с фанатами Звездных войн.
Faceless man behind the channel, who are they?
You can't tell? They're the Russian books.
Well, yeah, I see that, but who are they?
You know, I have to be honest, I really don't know myself, Non-Canon Expert. But I have to say, they've been quite helpful these last few months.
Oh yeah? How so?
You see, whenever there's a thumbs down or negative comment on the channel, I just blame it on them, the Russian books. In fact, I just finished a study that found that 99.3% of all negative comments and downvotes on the channel is actually perpetrated by them, the Russian books. I mean, it's a massive conspiracy.
Really? And what evidence do you have of that?
None whatsoever. Now Russian books, can you give us a minute here? I'm trying to work something out with the Non-Canon Expert.
Я не знаю, почему они всегда обвиняют нас в этом.
Я тоже не знаю. Я просто хотела обсудить Дарта Бейна и Дарта Занну.
Again, I understand where you're coming from, faceless man behind the channel, but I've already done numerous episode 8 videos for you. I mean, I had to put so much of our work on hold to do that recent Luke and Revan video. And then there was that awful explanation of why Rey was able to defeat Kylo in episode 7. I know this would be the first time, and I hate to do it, but I'm just gonna have to refuse any more episode 8 videos for now.
You know, you really are a fool, Non-Canon Expert, a fool who has forgotten his place. It's almost as if you've forgotten how it used to be. I know it was a long time ago, but I'm sure you still remember. The day that I found you, and saw raw, untapped knowledge of the non-canon, and so much more. We gave you a purpose, NCE. We gave you a life that I'm sure you're quite happy with. Wait a minute. You haven't told her yet, have you, Non-Canon Expert? So innocent is she. Is probably for the best she doesn't find out. So I will tell you this, Non-Canon Expert. You will make these episode 8 videos for me. You will expose harder than you've ever exposed before. You will like it. And we will give information. Canon rises and legends to meet it.
Yeah, that's right. Canon rises and legends to meet it.
Shut up, Canon Expert.
Canon Expert.
But when have you known me to be completely unreasonable, NCE? You do this favor for me, and I'll let you start that project you're always talking about.
You mean?
The very same. But remember, Non-Canon Expert, people are counting on you. Now go. Make preparations.